Hi, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And hopefully, you were able to find some space, some time to sit in gratitude. I know that this Thanksgiving is probably much different for most of us than Thanksgiving's past, and hopefully, Thanksgiving futures. But still, like, especially when things are heavy and difficult, and it's so easy to look at our lives and like the collective state of the world and to only focus on the negative and all the things that are going wrong. That's our brain's job, and our body, like that, the brain body connection strong, and it's based out of our need to survive. But so then that's why I love Thanksgiving in just general, like the whole essence of making things intentional. And so now having appreciation and gratitude is very important to be intentional in it, especially when it feels like there's not a lot of things to be grateful for. There are. It just might take a little bit of time and energy, intention to see those things. And notice when the mind-body connection being so strong, there's more research to support this, but when we're in a state of gratitude, our energy shifts, and it literally makes us, like, our immune system will go higher, and it just makes life more enjoyable. And it's not minimizing or ignoring the problems. It's just like, in spite of those problems, there's still all this amazingness, beautifulness in this world. We just have to find and train ourselves to look for it. And so I just want to let all of you know how grateful I am for you, and how much I love doing these oracle readings in particular, because that's what I'm talking about right now. And I love the feedback and knowing that we can connect on something that's all about intention and about, like, taking whatever message the oracle tells us for this week and just having it in our minds and our hearts to help us improve our world in some way. And so that's what I love about intention setting. And so I'm grateful for all of you, grateful for the platform of Breathe and Believe, to be able to reach out and to connect with so many incredible people that I learn from every day. Just all the different life stories and reasons people are kind of connecting with us it's pretty incredible. It's very humbling and very it's just magical. So I just love it. Those are the things. I mean, family, there's so many things to be grateful for. So I could go on forever, but that's not really why you're here. So we'll jump to the oracle reading at this point. So as always, this oracle kind of aligns exactly what we were just talking about, and it is wasp spirit. So it says, sometimes life stings. Side note, once I was stung by 16 wasps at once because I was moving a brick, which apparently was their home, and they didn't like that. But the message is, even that has its own little fun message, or like aligns with this a little bit. But the whole idea that, like, not everything in the universe or in this world is uplifting and wonderful. Like, sometimes there's things in nature that are not easy to love, and that can be hurtful and sting us in life. But what wasp spirit is all about is that even though those things happen, and there are those stinging moments and times and periods in our life, events, whatever it might be, that they themselves have their own message, and they have their own purpose that typically isn't there when it first happens. Like, at first there's resistance, and there's like the why me, why is this happening? And yet a lot of times, like, after time, then we realize, like, oh, that changed things and it put us in a different trajectory, that sort of thing. And so with wasp, their job is to keep the insect population, or one of their things that they do is keep the insect population down to help with, like, plants, and so that it can help them, like, support the growth of plants. So although it seems evil to get stung by a wasp, or the fact that they are kind of going after other insects, it's necessary in order for the whole system to continue to work in harmony with the other systems. And so that's kind of what happens in life. Like, things happen that are outside of our control a lot of times, things that we wish they wouldn't happen, and it may hurt, and we can feel, like, deeply disappointed, and like even resentful in some of the life stings that happen. And yet after some time, like we come to find out that like something wonderful came from that. And something that I think gets really confusing is this idea of like we create our own reality when we think like, okay, when bad things, unpredictable, chance type things happen to us, then it's like, well, we did this to ourselves. And that's our brain wanting to create meaning because we have meaning making brains. But yet sometimes it's like, well, no, like I didn't bring this illness on, or I didn't bring this car accident, or these like different tragedies that can happen. And so sometimes we have to be careful, because then it's easy to like do this whole blaming thing because we want to make meaning out of it. Sometimes life can just be hard. Life stings and there's no rhyme or reason for it. Where the meaning comes in and where it becomes important is then what do we do from there? Because that's where the power is. That's where the choice is. And you see this like beautifully in people who after tragedy, and this is an extreme example, but after tragedy then go on to like be some kind of a like create some kind of a group to help so that those tragedies don't continue to happen to others, or they give back in different ways. They create organizations that bring a lot of like greatness into this world. And so that's where the power can really come. That's where the wasp sting, maybe the event itself is just like unpredictable. You couldn't have seen it coming, but then what are we going to do with it? And so that's where like the real transformational power can come in, and can almost feel like in some events like wasp spirit was conspiring with our higher guidance or the universe in order to make things happen. So on a different level, like how many times do we at one point in our life, like we're praying and we really, really want something to happen, and then it doesn't happen. And at the time we're so disappointed and we're so upset. But then after, a certain amount of time passes, we realize like, thank God my prayers weren't answered, because I never really wanted to do that career or be in that relationship or have, move to this place, whatever it might be, like it actually worked out in our favor. I think of a lot of times like that you can even think about people like in like a relationship ending or somebody getting fired from a job. Like those things are so easy to look and be like resentful and hurt from the sting of it. And it's supposed to hurt. It's not like you should just like pretend. We don't want to like pretend away our pain. That's not it. It's okay to feel it all. Life can be hard. Life can sting, but it's like in the process of healing, then typically what happens is we have this realization of like, that job was never meant for me anyway, or that relationship that wasn't good for me. And then we understand ourselves deeper, and then something more aligned with us. We've created the space for something that's better aligned for us to enter. And if we would have just stuck because we love our comfort zone, and we would have just stayed in that comfort zone of the relationship, job, town, whatever it might be, body, sometimes it's whatever it might be. Like if you stay in that comfort zone, we like that. And so it's the stinging when something happens and it pulls us out of it. But then that's when we in time can look back and say, thank God that happened, because had that not happened, I would have probably still been in that situation and been comfortable. And now through the pain, and it's not like there's sometimes the whole idea of like time heals all wounds. Okay, but things are happening in that time, and hopefully it's growth. And we have that option, because sometimes bad things happen and it just makes us more bitter, resentful. We seek revenge. We do all this stuff. So it's not time that's healing. People can do more damage. And you think of like the whole hurt people idea, or the idea of like, people just turning into and maybe building a bigger shell, and instead of doing the work of healing, they might put more yuckiness into the world. And so we don't want to be those people. Not at all. That's, if you're on here, you're not one of those people, right? So we are more about empowering and healing those elements of understanding and coming to terms and being able to look at ourselves and say, like, well, what was my part in this, and what can I do differently next time so that this doesn't have to happen this way. And so we're constantly, this is life school, this whole earth journey. And so we're taking it in and we're learning, and then we're changing so that we can live our fullest, most expressive life to our fullest potential. And in doing so, we will learn how interconnected we all are, just like the wasp stinging and taking care of the whole system by doing its job, which isn't pretty. And yet it is hard work, and sometimes making choices that are just hard. Trying to think of a better word for it, but so necessary in order to keep our systems going. And really the best thing that we can do for the collective is by owning our own choices, by, looking at having control over our reaction to the stings in life, and then choosing a way that's elevating us and will therefore elevate the world around us. And people will learn from your example, and that will be powerful. So there might be things in life right now that are really stinging. And we talked about that even with like Thanksgiving, but there just can be a lot of opportunity for stings on any year, but especially a year like this year. There are also a lot of things to be super grateful for. And one of my mantras that I took on years ago when my life was super heavy and stinging, 16 wasp stings, not literally, I mean, that literally happened, but in a way that like just felt like I was being stung everywhere, as I just kept my mantra as everything is working out for me. And if I believed that and I felt that, then that's what would manifest, because I could see that even the stings, being stung over and over, I could learn something for it, and it was probably tearing something away to align me with something different and better for me. And so if I kept that spirit, and I kept the wasp spirit of knowing that, then that's the way I would approach the world, and therefore that's the way it would be. And so that is the invitation for this week, to know that sometimes life stings, but what can we do in order to make the most of it? Have a good week.